say in the love dens of Trophus? Bottoms up, girls!
That's what got him into trouble in the first place.
Now that's an unusual sensation.
Shenanigans, back again, and welcome to MMOMG. I'm over 2 weeks into Path of Exile, and while I'm enjoying the game as an action RPG, I've come to loathe the always online aspect of it. Yep, I'm starting this episode with a complaint, but bear with me. It's the only negative thing I really have to say about this game, and I'd prefer to just get it over with up front. So, when you get disconnected, your character instantly returns to the nearest town. This can be frustrating when you're traversing new zones and haven't discovered a waypoint recently. Instances reset every 8 to 15 minutes, which can sometimes allow you to get back to where you were. If you've been through several zones, or you're working on something like the Lord's Labyrinth, though, you're basically screwed. A friend of mine who was really enjoying PoE just uninstalled the game recently due to recurring connection issues, citing it as too much hassle even for a free-to-play title. On a related note, I'm logging into PoE through Steam, and I feel it's a huge mistake to do so. If Steam has a network glitch, you'll likely get disconnected from the game as well. Essentially, you're doubling your chances of getting booted just so you can get achievements and log your hours played through Steam. Not really worth it. And now that my biggest gripe is out of the way, I'd like to mention something I really like about this game. PoE's potions, called Flasks, are the best thing I've seen in an action RPG and maybe one of the best in any game. Flasks come in different sizes, providing bigger effects per use. In addition to the standard health and mana restoration, you can find flasks that provide move speed, resistance, armor, and a number of other effects. The best part of flasks, though, is that they aren't consumables. Flasks are empty when not equipped, but refill as you kill monsters. This gets rid of the major annoyances of potions and consumables used in other games, and is just plain brilliant design. If you haven't already noticed, Path of Exile changes a number of things often considered standard or tradition in the genre, all the way down to its currency system. Instead of a single standard monetary unit, such as coins, gold, credits, the game uses a multitude of items as a hybrid currency and crafting system. Selling the most common items gives you only scroll fragments, 5 of which make a scroll of wisdom, but selling the right combination or types of items produce much better results. For example, selling an item with at least one socket of each color all linked together gives you a Chromatic Orb. A quick way of snagging a couple of Chromatic Orbs is to check the town vendors. They sometimes stock items with all 3 colors linked, and selling it back to them returns a Chromatic Orb. Speaking of items with linked sockets, I cannot stress how important these gear pieces become as you obtain support gems. Early on, I valued the extra effects provided by rare yellow items, but quickly realized they often have less sockets as a result. In addition to the growing number of skill gems you'll use, support gems allow you to modify various aspects of your skills as long as they're placed in linked sockets. For example, I have minion speed and damage support gems to enhance the overall power of my undead army. Support gems and linked sockets add a further set of options to customize your character's abilities, allowing you to come up with some amazing combinations. Towards the end of the week, a viewer clued me in on some of the niftier gems that change how skills are even cast, such as triggers and totems. With the right combination, you can make spells trigger when conditions are met, such as when you take damage or when you land a critical hit. I recently linked my Summon Raging Spirit skill to a spell totem. Instead of spamming Raging Spirits myself now, I simply drop the totem and let it do all the work. This allows me to focus on laying down area of effect debuffs while my minions clean up. I've also recently started acquiring auras to buff and protect myself and my minions. Auras are toggle skills that reduce a certain percentage of your total mana while active. Starting out, I can only keep 2 auras active at once and still have some mana left to actually cast other spells. Thankfully, the passive skill tree has options to lower the amount of mana held in reserve. Speaking of the skill tree, I've found that part of the challenge while leveling is figuring out when to actually go for what. I'd love to pick up the last few minion passives that I want, but the amount of mana being held back by auras is a far more pressing issue that I have to deal with. Additionally, I want to snag some health and energy shield passives, meaning I have about 4 different directions on the skill tree I want to go at once. I've only played a handful of games where deciding when and where to invest skill points was actually a challenge, and I'm happy to announce that Path of Exile is one of them. Another compliment I have about Path of Exile is the amount and quality of voice work for written dialogue. Every NPC seems to be fully voiced, and the majority of lore clickables scattered across the game are as well. The following clip has so far been my favorite. A woman's chilling final account after her village and family were struck by an undead curse.
3 Lunari gone now since it all began. Perhaps I am the only one who still looks upon Lunaris, who remembers her name. Soon, I will be gone, and the moon will go on alone. My husband has returned, and he hunts for me. My dead husband hunts me. Con, too, and my uncle. Corpses rise and walk and feed. My girls. They walk now. And feed. God has forsaken us. Lunaris is my witness. Tonight, I return to my family.
As for personal progress, I'm about 36 hours in. My witch is level 42 and just started Act 4. As I mentioned earlier, I'm working towards a necromancer build. I keep an army of skeletons and zombies going alongside a totem slinging raging spirits led by a chaos golem who I plan to switch to a stone golem when I have enough strength to use. I drop area of effect debuffs on enemies while keeping auras active on my army. While on the topic of auras and summons, now would be a good time to mention PoE's skill bar. At first glance, it looks somewhat limited, allowing for only 8 total skills, one of which needs to be either move or default attack, so you can actually move around the maps. If you have spells you don't need to cast again right away, though, such as auras or summons, you can switch them out of the bar to make room for other skills. This requires you to do a little setup each time you start playing, but it keeps the UI from becoming a nightmare of buttons as you gain new abilities. Anyway, that just about does it for this episode. Next week, I plan on taking a look at NPC hideouts, finishing Act 4, and hopefully completing the Lord's Labyrinth. You can join me on Breach or watch my live stream Sunday through Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time at twitch.tv/shenanigans1930. I'm still deciding on what to play for next month, as I have a fairly long list to tackle. Feel free to suggest games for this series in the comments below. Remember to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the series, and as always, I thank you so much for checking out this video. Until next time, take care, guys. Whoa, we'll get off of that. Should have realized that. It's, yeah. Not so terrible, it's just don't stand in flames. It's a good motto to keep through life. Don't stand in fire.